Okay, representing Army West Point, our head coach Dave Magarity, guard Kelsey Minato, and guard forward Gene Parker. Coach, if we could please start with a brief statement.
Sure. Well, I just, first of all, want to compliment Syracuse on a terrific performance and a great game plan. You know, we faced that kind of defense probably never. And I mean that. It is just overwhelming at times. It's relentless, and it's really very, very difficult to ever get comfortable. Their game plan to face guard Kelsey Minato and to always have somebody on her, whether it was a ball screen, whether it was a flare screen, whatever the case may be, they executed a defensive game plan perfectly. Obviously, we didn't counter that with the offensive execution that we needed to. We could not make shots in the first quarter. They got into our head a little bit, and a little bit, but more than a little bit, and we just were on our heels that entire first quarter and into the second quarter. I thought we settled down a little bit. You know, the score at halftime was alarming. I mean, obviously we're down 20-plus points, but I just felt if we could just calm down a little bit, settle down, make the extra pass. We weren't able. The reason why we were successful all year was we were able to get in our pressure by scoring. And when you're not scoring, and it's just something we never encountered this year, we couldn't get into it. And that simply, you know, in a nutshell, that's why the game turned out the way it was. We could not score. We could not get into our pressure. And when we tried to get into it on dead ball situations, it just wasn't as effective. And I think you saw glimpses of it in the second half when we got a little bit, when we started scoring a little bit, and we were able to get into it. I thought, not that we got a lot of steals, but we got a few deflections. We got them playing a little bit faster. And in some ways, that's not good because Peterson is such an exceptional point guard. She's one of the best point guards I've seen in a long time. I mean, her composure, I mean, she just obviously lived at the foul line, and it was just tough keeping her off the foul line. You know, their quickness exposed some of our lack of quickness. So, I mean, I think that all our worst fears were realized, and all the things when I saw that pop up on the screen last Monday night, this is what I was thinking. I mean, I knew how good they were, and I knew how good they could be if they got into you and you allowed them to get you playing like that. So, but I was really proud of the way we responded in the second half. Obviously, we outscored them in the second half, but that doesn't do you a lot of good when you're down 20-plus points at halftime. But I'm very proud of our kids. I mean, we didn't quit. We didn't. I mean, you would never. You would hope that you weren't going to have these kids quit on you because you know what they're going on to do in the next couple of years. So I knew that was never going to be the case. You know, it's just that the game of basketball and the pressure and the athleticism and everything that Syracuse brought to the table today were the things that, you know, they got us playing, you know, a little bit out of our comfort zone. So they're a very good team. I mean, there's a reason why they got to the ACC championship. There's a reason why they're in the top 15 in the country.
Okay, now we'll take questions for the student athletes. If you could please raise your hand, and we'll bring a microphone to you. John in the front.
Kelsey, just how frustrating was it having that face guard against you, and what were you kind of trying to do to get around that?
It was tough. I didn't get a ton of open shots. The shots I did get, I probably wasn't balanced. I was kind of rushing it because of their pressure. But I've seen face guarding, but it wasn't like that. They were a lot quicker. They were a lot more physical, and it kind of got me playing out my comfort zone, like Coach said. But I mean, I still got some good shots. They just weren't going down.
Lindsay?
I mean, there was 2 10-second turnout, violations versus possession, which really mean nothing. But to the end, when it's being decided, they're still coming at you, blocking your shots. I mean, I assume you knew they'd be ferocious and tough, but just as far as the tenacity and the effort would take the defense start to finish, did you expect that level of intensity?
Yeah, we did. We knew that they were going to be relentless. They were going to probably pressure us the entire game, and it kind of wears on you when you have that for 40 minutes. But we still tried to take care of the ball. Obviously, we had some turnovers in their pressure, but it's tough going against their pressure because they take up so much space. So you think someone's open, but if you try to pass it, they're going to steal it. So it was a little bit tough for us. I think we did better in the second half of taking care of the ball and being more aggressive. We hit some shots, and that kind of brought up our confidence, but it was kind of too little too late, I think, at that point.
Other questions for the student athletes? Second row on the left.
Gene, can you just tell us about what it was like to go down by so much so early and the emotional time that you were going through?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all season long we're not really used to it because we've been handling teams pretty well, especially in our league. But it was definitely frustrating. You could feel it with each other. But I think halftime was a good time. We could just regroup, take a deep breath, and go out there and just try and hit some shots and get a couple of stops and try and get our offense going. So it's definitely frustrating, but I think we played through it in the third quarter.
Paul?
Kelsey, what was so challenging about defending Alexis Peterson? Maybe what was she doing so well offensively?
I mean, she's really quick. She's really good off that ball screen, and when she would get into the middle of the lane, she would either take a shot or kick out to shoot or to number 50. So it was tough for us to guard that, even in that zone, because she was really good at splitting the middle and just getting in the paint. I think we did a better job in the third quarter a little bit, but she kind of just was able to get to the foul line, get into the middle of the paint, and just kick out wherever she wanted to. So it's tough for us.
Second row on the left.
Gene, just after a great season, I mean, you guys put up 29 wins. The senior class has meant a lot to the program. What kind of mark do you think you left on Army as you guys played your final game?
I think we just made like a family atmosphere, and it's not necessarily. Let me start over. So I think we just like created a culture where everybody's there for each other. Basketball's. Basketball is like the best part of the day for people. And I think we stepped up the intensity where a postseason tournament is the standard. So if we don't make it to one, that shouldn't be good for the team.
Follow up?
Yeah, and just for Kelsey, kind of along the same lines, you guys are leaving West Point with everything you accomplished. And what are the takeaways? What do you look back on at where this program is now based on when you guys came in as freshmen?
We have a lot to be proud of what we've accomplished in the past 4 years. I think the thing that my class will be most proud of is the culture that we built over the past 4 years, and that's a culture that's built around hard work, like Gene said, respect for each other, just representing the academy well, and just playing our hardest.
Having fun.
Yeah, having fun. So I think that legacy is what we'll be most proud of once we graduate.
Kelsey, I know it's a tough time, but your career in college comes to an end today. This was hardly the last game that you expected to play. What's the emotion that you're going through with the game going as such?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's not how anyone wants to end their college career. But, I mean, Syracuse is a good team, and I was really proud of the way that we came out in the second half. And aside from this game, it's been a great season, and everything that we've accomplished this season is something that we can all be proud of. And I know this season, and I probably speak for myself and also for my classmates and the rest of my teammates, is probably the best team and the best season that we've had. So even though this was a tough loss and it's not how we wanted to end our season, it was still a great season, and we still have a lot of good memories that we can take away from it.
Any other questions for the student athletes? Okay, ladies, thank you very much for your time. You're free to go. We'll now take questions for head coach Dave Magarity. Once again, please raise your hand and we'll bring a microphone to you. Second row on the left.
Dave, I'm sure you were trying to come up with answers there in the first quarter and the second quarter. What were you telling them and what was happening?
Well, I think when you're not making shots, and we're normally a pretty good shooting team. You know, we're one of the best three-point shooting teams in the country. But you know, when shots aren't going down, and a team is as aggressive and as explosive as they are, first of all, we did a poor job of rebounding in the first quarter, and I think that led to a lot of their second chance opportunities. As mentioned earlier, we start the game off with 2 10-second violations, and you know, again, it's Syracuse changing things up. I mean, they changed their look 2 or 3 different ways in the first 5 minutes of the game. You know, they did a lot of things we do, but they're just so long with Day out front, and then they would change back, and then they would trap. Not only trap you in the backcourt, they want you to take it to the sideline. So all those things, you know, I think we were overthinking it a little bit. I mean, I don't think we could have been any more prepared. But being prepared and telling them what to expect, it's hard to simulate that in practice. You know, we just can't simulate that, you know. I mean, you know, unless I got dressed for practice and went out there along with, I mean, I got some assistants that are good, but they're not that good. So I just think it's really it's really what Syracuse did. I mean, and once we figured it out and then talked about it, I think G mentioned it about, and I think that's a great point about halftime. Halftime couldn't have come quicker. And no matter how many timeouts we had, no matter how many times we discussed what we had to do, they just seemed a little bit shell-shocked because they kept looking up at the score. And at that point, it's like you can't worry about what the score is now. We need to get the ball over half court. We need to be able to make some shots. We need to get shots. And we got to keep Peterson off the foul line. I mean, that became a major, major issue there. I don't know how many she ended up making. I know she didn't miss any. It didn't seem like she did. So, I mean, really, it was tough. But I've been in this situation before. I mean, we were in a situation 2 years ago, and that final score was pretty ugly. This score, I mean, we got it to 12. And I know that they got tentative with the lead, and that happens, you know, but we needed to capitalize on that. You know, if they were going to become a little hesitant and take the air out of the ball, we needed to get them maybe, and we did. We got some steals. Now, what we didn't do, we missed a shot to get it to 9, a wide open 3. It was a great pass Minato made, behind the back pass to Parker, and it just didn't go down. That would have cut it to 9, I think. So, you know, we never quit. You know, whether or not, you know, that's going to get you in a position to win or not is irrelevant. It's just for us, we just figured it out, and if we would have had another 10 minutes, maybe we could have gotten it down below 10, you know.
Lindsay?
Yes.
You mentioned yesterday you're a voter in the USA Today post poll.
Yeah.
You take time, obviously, to assess the field, even teams you don't play. Just if you take a step back and maybe give some perspective how good Syracuse is, and looking forward, how far you think they can go based on seeing the person today.
I'm super impressed with them. I think, you know, seeing them live, it's the first time I've seen them live. As I mentioned the other day in a press conference yesterday, I didn't realize how quick they were, and how, after watching as much film as I did this week, I had a really bad taste in my mouth. It was like, oh boy, people don't know how good they are. I mean, I don't think people realize how good they are. And then when you start breaking down their statistics that they had throughout the ACC season, it's really impressive. And I think that the way they can shoot the ball, when you bring people like Morrison off the bench, I mean, Butler made some shots today, but I mean, I could see her going off. I mean, so they've got a lot of different weapons, and I just think Peterson is controls the game. She's one of the best point guards that we've gone up against in my career at Army over the 10 years. She's that good with the ball, and she's that good handling pressure. I mean, she did a great job against our press. Our press is pretty good. And I talked to Coach Q the other day, and, he was very complimentary about how quick we got into our press. And I'm like, yeah, but you got to score to get into your press. So we weren't able to ever get into it enough, and that had a little bit of a bearing on it. But their pressure, obviously, is it can be overwhelming at times. I think they're legitimately a top. They could be a top 10 team. I mean,
Baylor, South Carolina, UConn good? I mean, that good? Notre Dame good?
Maybe not in those four. You mentioned four teams, but that second wave, whether it's the next four or the next four, I think they're clearly in the top 12. That's just me. I mean, I am voting, so I'll give my hand away. So,
John?
You talked about Syracuse's press today, but in the half court, just what do you think of the zone? And it seemed like they were switching to man even sometimes in the middle of possessions.
you talking about their defense?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, their defense is very good. I mean, when you're playing that kind of a 2-3 zone and you have that kind of wingspan and their ability to anticipate the next pass, their ability to close driving lanes, and their ability to close out on shooters, you saw it tonight. I mean, they looked like we were wide open a couple times. I mean, I'm sure I think it was Destiny Morris will have nightmares about that block when Day came after her. She looked like she was wide open. And we're encouraging our kids to let it fly. You're open. Don't hesitate. Don't be indecisive. But you know what? We also said, you know what? You may want to incorporate a ball fake here or there. A little bit of a ball fake. But I think they're really good in that setting. Now, some teams are going to be a little bit bigger than us. We're small. When Ortner went out, we became really small. I mean, you have Aaliyah Murray playing the 5 spot for us. She's lucky if she's 5'10", 5'11".
We have time for one final question. Paul, in front row.
Coach, what's going through your mind when Peterson is controlling the game the way she is? How frustrating is it on the sideline from your perspective?
Well, it's part of the game. You knew she was there. I mean, there were games I watched where she was out. I think she missed 2 or 3 games with injuries, and she's there. You got to prepare for her, and you do the very best you can against her. But we are so small that we have to switch. Sometimes we're switching 5. We're switching 1 through 5. When Ortner's in the game, we're switching 1 to 4. And even when she's in there, when the shot clock got down to 10, she had to switch on her. I think she picked up 2 fouls, picking up Peterson. Some of the calls were, moving, some screen. There were some things there that just, she got into foul trouble. I mean, that's the reason why we had such success this year. For the first time in her career, she was not in foul trouble every game. Well, as soon as she picked up her second foul, we had some tough decisions to make. So now you're going with Murray and Hovren, and then or we're going with Hicks, who played a little bit, and it's just we're different. We're a different team.
Okay, Coach. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you.